Okay, I will begin. Hello to everyone. I'm Quentin. I'm a project manager at Niboo. So I will present a manufacturing success story. I'm the project manager on Bell helmets, who is helmet manufacturers. I will maybe tell you to come and see us at the stand to get to know us, so I have more time to explain to you the problematics that we encountered during the project. In a few words, Bell is a worldwide company. They have offices in the US, in Europe, and in Bahrain. In fact, the company factory is in Bahrain, so in Middle East. You see that they have 150 employees, more than 50 users on Odoo for the moment. That's production of 120, 130 helmets a day in 3 time zones, obviously. What is interesting to know is that a few years ago, they moved the production of the helmets from China to Bahrain due to various reasons. From that moment, the factory was working without system. So we started a bit from scratch. They were working with Excel sheets and those kind of archaic way to work. So the idea, and I will get to that later, was to implement the system, but also improve the processes. Here the talk is really to explain the struggles we had, the problematics we encountered. So they had manual manufacturing processes. So what I was just saying, the fact that they were working with Excel sheets, that the inventory was kept in updated, not often updated, and without that much of a system. So they have a growing demand. They have a lot of back orders, which is due to how the factory is working, was working before. Yeah, so incomplete manufacturing reporting, long packaging processes, no integration between companies. That's something we are working on at the moment. So as I said, they have the US office and the Europe office, which are specifically oriented towards sales in Europe and in the world. Bahrain is, for the moment, mostly focused on the manufacturing of the helmets, not the sale. About that, so why did Bell choose Odoo? I'm sorry the client wasn't able to come here today, but he will be tomorrow morning in our stand, so you can come and ask him the questions you want. So why did Bell choose Odoo? The fact that it's an open source solution, that we can in a short period of time deploy this tool, easy to customize, future-proof in the way we work at Odoo at Niboo is to work as close as possible to the standard. So only do development if we really need to match what the client needs. So interesting licensing price. And proximity to European office. In the case of the offices are situated in Saintes, in Tubize, so in Belgium. Why did Bell choose Niboo? The step-by-step philosophy, the human approach. When I talk about step-by-step philosophy, when I will get more into details about how they manufacture the helmets, we wanted to go step by step. So we didn't implement it, for example, the work centers immediately, and the BOMs were created in a way that allowed us to not complicate too much the life of the employees and the workers in the factory from the beginning. So we work with an agile methodology. We try to be honest with the client, and the responsiveness is also very important, knowing that in Bahrain they don't work on Saturdays, but they work on Sundays. So we need to be able to give them support during the weekend too. And we do that, so that shows us. Here is the simplified version of the factory. You see that we have 6 green squares that represent various locations of the factory. Knowing that in those locations we have separations, so in total they have 15 locations where they paint, where they brush the helmets, when they where they manufacture the shell and the interior, for example, all that's plastic extensé, so the green plastic that you gray plastic that you see inside the helmet. So what was difficult in the analysis, in fact, of the company was to really understand the trajectory of the routes, in fact, of the goods. So from the receipts to the delivery orders to the various clients, either in Europe, in the US, or in other parts of the world. They have cold zones, as you see here. They have quality control. They obviously have a big stock in a warehouse, but also small stocks in each of the 15 locations, which we needed to take that into account. So there is a lot of reordering rules that had to be set from the stock to the location, but also from the supplier to the stock. So I will focus on 6 challenges that we met. The first one is the bill of materials. So as you can see in the picture, an helmet is composed with a lot of different parts. You have the fabric, you have the foam, you have the visor, those kind of, that's called hands clip here. You have a lot of different parts, and as Odoo works, so the manufacturing allows you to do bill of material. You have 2 kinds of bill of material. The first one is manufacture, so you take several elements that you put together and you create a new product. You also have kits that in fact are several elements that you move in a kit, but after the manufacture, those elements stay apart in the BOM, I mean. Why am I explaining that to you? Is that at Bell we had the bill of material of the helmet, but we have 9 levels of sub-BOMs. So BOMs into BOMs, into BOMs, into BOMs, into BOMs, with some that are in kits, some that are in manufacture. I told you earlier that we needed to begin slowly. Doing that in kit was a part of what we did to simplify the go live in production for the manufacturing. now that the factory begins to work properly, some of the bill of materials are set from kit to manufacture because they record in the system the manufacturing of those various elements. Okay, second part, as I showed in the graphic, we have the operation, the location, and the routes. So about the operation, so the location, and I explained to you that we have 15 locations. We have as much operation and sometimes even more, because in one location you could have, for example, I will take assembly, where you put all the parts together. You have the assembly itself, but also the quality control and the boxing of the helmet, which are separated in the operations that we defined in the system. Okay. Yeah, the routes. I will not talk much about the routes, but knowing that some of the helmets can go different ways in the factory, depending on the color of the helmet, or depending on what specific accessories they have. You see that they have holes, they have fence clips, so sometimes the routes are different depending on the product. What challenge did we have also? The multi-tracking. So those Formula One helmets are certified by the FIA, by SNEL, which is the FIA in the US. You see the sticker there. We needed to have serial numbers, have the tracking, in fact, of the shell itself, the tracking of the foam that you put in the helmet. So to know if the helmet comes back, what was the batch that went wrong. So that's what I say using multi-tracking. So now in the factory they use already the lots and serial numbers for the helmets. Also, I see in the audience that some of you went to our stand where I explained bartender. So the stickers printing was kind of challenging. We had to find a way to be able to print in various locations in the factory at some specific point. For example, when I click on mark as done in a manufacturing order, I want the sticker to come in the for example, in the assembly on that specific printer with the information I want on the sticker. Bartender allows us to do that, knowing that in fact Odoo just sends an information via the web to the server where bartender is, and bartenders just choose, depending on the condition and so on, the correct sticker. So you can see that, well, in fact you cannot see because I don't have the box, but we have a lot of stickers that are inside the helmet, that are on the boxes, and those are now in production. So we use this system in the factory at Bell for the moment, and it's working quite well. So we are happy with it. Other challenges were the reordering rules. So I talked a bit about it before. We had a lot of thinking, a lot of analysis to do on how the Bell was working in the factory before, because as I said, they were working with Excel sheets. So there was a lot of effort given by our client to really get the information from every people in the company, in every location, the manager of every location, to know what do you need, what place do you have to stock, for example, 1,000 screw or the specific foam or the parts of the carbon that will be used in the press to make the shell of the helmet. So that was really challenging, really interesting to understand the process from A to Z and to use Odoo in that way with the reordering rules. Yeah. Second part, which we are still working on for the moment, is the packaging. So the move in batch in the factory. So you have to imagine 50 shell on a rack that moves from the location where the shell have been made to the location where they will be painted. And that is, we are still working on that, but the part where we put the helmets together and the factory is in Bahrain, so it's either by plane or by boat, and so all that's related to the packing list, knowing that if you have several orders that you send at the same time, you want to know which serial numbers are in which packet, in which container, so that was also a challenge that we overcome that one. Okay. Up next, what's next? So the project, it's still ongoing. We began, I think, in December, January, and it was really interesting from that moment to now. And we try, as stated here, to simplify the processes to comply with ISO 9001 and to simplify the work of the workers there. So what comes up next? The consolidated accounting between the three companies, their website, an e-commerce, and also new payment acquirer. Sorry, in the idea that in the US you have a specific market, they usually pay by credit card. You have the mark of the credit card, but not the invoice at the same time. So we need to adapt our way of working, considering that in Europe it doesn't work quite the same. So do you have any questions? I can say that Sam here, and I don't know if Gael is here. So the two, yes, my two bosses that worked with me also on the project. So I see that you have a question.
Yeah, how many SKUs did you have?
Sorry?
SKUs.
Oh, they have, in fact, I didn't talk about the variants. So we have 25 helmets, which come in various size, various color, and also you could count the interior color and all those kind of things. So SKU-wise, I don't know exactly, but that's more than 500, I think.
Yeah, I think
so.
And they have also specific, you can customize completely your helmet if you want to.
Yeah.
So the 120 per day, one location or all the locations?
All the location. When I talk about location, that's the painting, that's the creation of shells, the cut of the foam, and those. Well, it's an ongoing process. So each day you have 120 helmets that are finished, but the process itself can take up to 2 or 5 days to make one helmet.
I had just a remark to add to the challenge we met. Also, what was really surprising at the start of the project, we wanted to be standard as possible. So it's almost running as standard. There is little things change, but really the production, the MRP system is the one from Odoo V10. And we thought that we would had a lot of development to do or something, so we enjoyed. But the really big part of the project, I mean, the first third, was really to get the data. It was amazing how it was difficult to get all the bumps and all the details on how they are together, linked together. It was really, really difficult. It took almost 4 months to have everything set up in the system and to be able to start one batch of production. So it was completely crazy because we didn't think that it will took so much. But they come from Excel, so okay, they have no systems to give that to us, but it was really, really hard to do.
So how many nested bombs was there in the most complex?
I think it's 9 or 10, but you have bombs in bombs, and you have sometimes bombs with many bombs in it, with kits that contains other kits and things.
You can have more than 100 components in the helmet itself. So you have to know that for a carbon helmet, you have each piece of carbon that is specific. And so just for the shell for a carbon helmet, you have like 60 or even more type of paper of carbon. So you can imagine how complex the bomb can be at that point.
And we use the conditional bombs in Odoo V10. So we have one bomb for each type of helmet, and in those bombs you will have the size by component, so you can say, okay, this component is used with this variant. So it's really that is really powerful. Yeah.
So you were able to use standard V10 bombs.
Yeah, it's almost. I mean, customers always want some stuff specific. So we changed quite. We developed the printing system and things like that. But really, the MRP
reports,
is standard.
Yeah.
Are you using a PLM?
About that, we will use it, and we, in fact, we made the bomb thinking about if I want to change the cut of the foam of this part, I need to be able, because that type of cut could be used in 5-7 different type of helmets. So we needed not to change that for each helmet, but to change it at only one place, and that's what we did. So you have several kits that are integrated in several BOM of helmets. So that's kind of related to the PLM, so the product lifecycle management. And now that we work in work centers, we will upload all the manuals for the workers too, and we use PLM with that for the change eco. So
yeah, putting the engineers on Odoo there, because it was in Bahrain, was difficult. So we had we talked with our customer point of contact, but putting the engineers in the system was a bit hard. So now they use it. So we go one step further and we try to implement PLM. That's, yeah. Yes.
Usually, the standard module for manufacturing works really well when you have mass production. When you have personalizations, it's very complex to configure all the sensors and the routing. Didn't the customer complain a little regarding this? Because since you have 9 levels of the BOM, and for each of them you have to configure the routing, and you have to say in each tab range, each work center, what time it will take.
yeah.
Yeah, but the customized parts still go in the same places, so we can keep the route pretty the same. It's just the BOM that changed, so they construct the BOM on the customization asked by the customer, but the helmet still goes on the same routing, so we don't have that kind of problem for the moment.
So
sometimes they want to paint the shell, but they need to put some stickers. What stickers?
Yeah, but
I know what you mean.
We have already all those steps for standard helmets, because they put some stickers already on the helmet. So they just sorry.
The instructions,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The okay, the customized instructions are not in the system.
Yeah,
So
and
it just prints a project and
mainly
because it's like one helmet
Yeah.
costing many.
you have different type of way of working. As if you work with an artist, a painter for a custom helmet, you will send the shell to the painter because every pilot, such as Hamilton, for example, has his artist and wants only him to paint his helmet. In that case, you just remove the shell, send it to the artist, get it back, and do the rest. And you also have the decals, but the decals are also can be custom made, and yeah, and you can integrate them in the process also, so it works.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.